just making me feel as though I'm not good. I'm not as good as the girl that's lighter than me
And did the person who called you that, or the people that called you that, were they within your race or outside your race?
within my race.
Okay.
Yeah. So not so much the Caucasians, not at all the Caucasians. It started with people, with black people.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jamisia Free, the nurse practitioner extraordinaire. And if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight we're going to be talking about colorism. And I have a few guests here with me to talk about this topic. So we're just going to go through just a couple of questions, and yeah, we're going to introduce you to the group. You guys, you can get in there too. So ladies, I want to, oh gosh, why is that going like that? Ladies, I want to talk to you about colorism and what your definition of colorism is and your first experience with colorism. So I'm going to start with you, Kiana. Tell me about what colorism is to you and how it, how you first interacted with it, or how you first, came to know that it actually existed.
Okay, well, I've been dealing with it all my life.
What is it to you? What does it mean?
Just, I guess if I have to be frank, just the lighter skinned people feeling as though, I'm too dark, or just almost as if, well, not almost, but my skin is not as good as someone whose skin is lighter than me. So just all my life I've just had to deal with the name calling.
Like what? What were you called?
From Blackie to Smokey to, Tar Baby to, and just the list goes on.
When did you first hear those words?
Um, probably middle school. So maybe my fourth, fifth, sixth grade time frame, about 12 years old, maybe. Um, you know, um, just making me feel as though I'm not good. I'm not as good as the girl that's lighter than me.
And did the person who called you that, or the people that called you that, were they within your race or outside your race?
Within my race.
Okay.
Yeah. So not so much the Caucasians, not at all the Caucasians. Mm-hmm. It started with people, with black people,
Okay.
So.
All right. So I'm going to ask you, Tony, the same question. What is your definition of colorism?
So I've always thought that colorism falls into a category specifically with people of color because we come in so many different shades. I have to be honest, I can't understand why, as a people, out of all people, we are the ones that have an issue with the different shades of our skin, and why we feel like, well, I've heard people say like, oh, she's so dark, she's purple, and like the smoky comment. I'm thinking to myself, of all people that all the things we've been through, why are we having issues with colorism out of all people? So
when was the first time you heard it, you think?
I want to say that actually, I think because I grew up in a culture of all black people, I did not hear it as often. It wasn't actually until I got into the military that I heard it, and I was a full-blown adult then. That was the first time I had heard it, and it was funny because I had this really dark-skinned girl in boot camp, and she was amazing. Her name was Thompson. She was amazing. She was from Jamaica, and she couldn't pass this battle. So whatever this final test was, we had to get out of boot camp. She couldn't pass, so she had been knocked down from what do they call them back then?
Confidence course. The confidence course.
Yeah, she had been knocked back, but she kept getting bumped back a week, bumped back. So that's how she fell into.
Okay,
that's how I met her. She kept
backwash. Was it backwash it was called, or
what was it called?
I'll remember it. I'll remember it.
Yeah. But we all know what we're talking about. Well,
Yeah.
she kept getting put behind, so she probably had been in boot camp for almost a year compared to I was complaining about that little 13 weeks that I was there. But it really. I'm just gonna say it really pissed me off when somebody called her like smoky or called her purple or something. It was crazy, and I was thinking to myself, and I said out loud, I said, well, if you ask me, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the cherry. So I don't understand. She just as black as the rest of us. Just because she's a little bit darker, I don't know why we're pointing her out because her skin is darker is why she can't pass it. It's not had nothing to do with why she can't pass this battle station test. She just won't swim.
Okay, so you felt like when she was called that name, you felt offended.
I felt offended.
Did she feel offended?
She was gangster. She was gangster. She just talked. She was. That's what I'm assuming now. And it's sad. Since I'm 40, I'm thinking this was almost 20 something years ago. Man, I'm thinking about the way she responded was totally nonchalant about it. Versus I was the one that got all offended and reared up, and I'm ready to fight everybody. And she just was like, "Oh, it's okay, Tony."
Okay, all right. And what about you, Devandria? Your definition of colorism and the first time that you came in contact with it.
Yes, so my definition of colorism is kind of a mixture of both Q and Tony's explanations. So for me, I feel like colorism stems from back when Caucasian people embedded within our race racism within our own community to divide us. So you guys remember the paper bag test back in the day? So if you don't know what the paper bag test is when you put a paper bag to your face, and if you're darker than the paper bag, you couldn't do certain things. So you weren't allotted the opportunities that so if you are of a lighter skin tone, they were more accepting of you as an African American person. So that's where we got into war within our own community of saying, okay, well, that has to be a better race, or that has to be a better color, because these Caucasian people are accepting them, or more accepting of people of the African American race that are of lighter skin. For instance, Rosa Parks.
Perfect example.
They were accepting of Rosa Parks, so she was the first African American person to sit, but she wasn't. But in the history books, it was okay because she was of lighter skin, closer to fair skin. So that's where I feel it stems from. So for me, colorism is racism within our own race.
But what you're saying is it's not something that we created. It was created to
embedded,
divide us.
It was embedded into our culture to divide us, to constantly divide us and constantly tear us down as a unit. And honestly,
do you think that that's where the house Negro and the field Negro came from?
So yeah, but I also
perfectly.
Yes, but I also feel like they, in their minds, they were thinking, well, this is a Negro, however, this Negro is lighter, so it doesn't really count. So I think for them, it made sense, and it was their scapegoat of saying, not light-skinned people, but like saying of fair skin, they're closer to being white than they are to being black. So this is why they can be someone who's in the house rather than someone who's in the fields.
Or maybe they were lighter skinned because their actual masters raped the women, and they were Caucasian, and they felt just more trustworthy of that person because they had some of the whiteness in them. Possibly.
I mean, I just also feel like darker tones, darker skin tones. For me, I when I think of darker skin tones, or if I think of honestly just African American people as a whole, it gives me the idea of power. And I think the idea of having someone or seeing someone with power is intimidating. So I feel like that's another thing.
Why does it make you feel like it's power?
Me?
Skin tone. Yeah.
Black people?
Would that be colorism on the opposite spectrum?
No. African American people as a whole, I feel like. Yeah, as a whole, I feel like. But I feel like, going back to what we were saying, I feel like they can identify better or feel more comfortable with people of lighter skin because they're closer to their skin tone than not.
And what's your first? Okay.
My first time experiencing colorism, I don't know if anyone else would feel offended or if they feel that it's a form of colorism, but in high school, I got all of the time, "You're pretty for a dark-skinned girl." All the time. It was never, "You're just pretty." It was never, "You're gorgeous." It's always, "Dang, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl." Or, like, if I was in a group, like, in my friend group, I was the darkest of all the girls in my friend group. And I always got chose last for everything. Or I always, when compliments were given out, it was always, "You're pretty for a dark-skinned girl." Or, "You're this for a dark-skinned girl."
So that brings me to the next question, right? Do any of you feel like you were passed over with dates or with guys because of your skin tone or anything like that? Do you guys experience any of that?
Yeah,
Q, I'd have to ask you that.
I did. You know, it took me a long time to be accepted of my skin tone.
You know what? Let me back up.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go to D.
Okay.
She's ready now.
She's ready. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, because I want to piggyback on you.
Okay, so
Diana,
I never really experienced colorism. And
why is that? Is that because you're not from the United States?
I think so.
Or not?
I think so. And then a lot of stuff that goes on, my parents kind of like, because I always stayed in the house, and we didn't have cable, so a lot of stuff that basically like what you just said about Rose Park, like if I don't research it, I wouldn't know. But I think that I be colorism people. Is that the word? Is that how I would say? Because every time I see a dark skinned person, I be like, "Oh, you so beautiful. Oh, you so beautiful." You know, because it's I ain't gonna say the original, but but that's the skin tone that that we see Africans as from coming from Africa, or the real Africans or the Africans that live in Africa. They mainly be dark skinned. They mainly and I just every time I see a dark skinned person, their skin is just so beautiful.
So you just reversed
our
it.
skin is beautiful too, but I just love dark skin. I mean, I love all because I have a dark skinned son and a light skinned son. So. But I feel like now that y'all saying it, I feel like I'm part of the problem because I'm always complimenting. I'll compliment beauty anybody, but I quickly will compliment a dark skinned person.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna. Tony.
Yeah, because I was kind of picking up from D and from both of y'all. So the thing is too, I think, and I kind of agree with you because I grew up in the home of black people. I didn't get the experience colorism, like I said, until I was grown and off in a whole nother area. But to me, I have to say, moving forward, coming out the slavery days, coming out the civil rights movement, this day and time, as black people, we got to be accountable for our own actions. We can't keep blaming. I understand where it started, and I'm fully grateful for that. But right now, today, we can't keep looking back and blaming the past for our actions today. So at some point, we've got to teach our children just to be accountable and not do these things right now, because I think that's a big part of the problem, that people aren't teaching anybody to not do these things or telling them these things are wrong or telling them that you don't have to. As a people, we got to unite ourselves. We can't keep depending on other people to help unite us. We gotta unite ourselves.
So like for me, I don't remember anything just specific off rip, but I remember putting a towel on my head so that it could be like my hair, like flipping it back and forth. I can remember wanting to bleach my skin so I could be lighter, not because there was any one thing, but maybe because of what I saw.
And see, that's what my country do. Jamaicans, they bleach their skin all day long. That's popular. They bleach their skin all day long. They will have tattoos, and by the time they finish bleaching their skin, they call it looking like a coloring book because that's how bright their tattoo would be compared to their natural skin. They do that all day long. They try.
Right,
they say in African countries and island countries that that's popular. Buying skin bleach
because of them not being accepted for the color of their skin. Like my daughter, a few years ago, in the summertime she gets dark chocolate, and people be like, "Oh, you got so dark," and I'd be like, "So what's wrong with that?" So what she got dark? Why does it always have to be a stigma?
A negative.
Yeah. Oh, you got dark. Oh, you so dark.
Why do you think people that are not dark skinned lay in the sun?
I'm not dark skinned. I lay in the sun
Mm-hmm.
because I just like laying in the sun.
So here's how like I kind of see it through the eyes of like, I guess me or my eyes. But anyways, so the way that I see it is, if you were to look at the world right now, and the people who are like the most famous, the most beautiful, or whatever we describe as whatever, what is the color of their skin? Like, what does it look like?
Who comes to mind?
So, like, for me, like, the most famous female singer is Beyonce.
Okay.
Right now, the biggest rapper is Meg
Okay.
and Cardi B, and all of them are of lighter skin.
Meg Stallion.
Yeah, so they're all lighter skin. Now, Meg Thee Stallion isn't light skin like Cardi B, but she is lighter
She's
brown.
your complexion.
She's lighter than me.
Oh.
Yeah, she's lighter than me. So I would say she's maybe 2 or 3 shades lighter than me.
She is.
You know what I mean? So, but I don't think that there's like a famous rapper who is, or famous singer who is dark skinned. Oh, well, City Girls.
That's American. That's in America. Because on the opposite end, in Jamaica, everybody dark skinned.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. So in America, for me,
Yeah,
like
so
that's
like-
how I see it.
But
And I
the
think
international-
America really has the issue internationally. When you go
Right.
like to London and Paris and
They
all
don't-
over,
they
they
don't-
just
they don't
kind of
see
they
any of
love
that.
us. They just
Yeah,
kind of like,
yeah,
oh
for
my
real.
goodness. They're like, oh my goodness, you are gorgeous.
But you know, I will say, I feel like now more than ever, they're trying to change the narrative. I feel like
They as in we.
they, as in the people behind the companies.
Okay.
One, because they keep getting in trouble,
Right.
and two, I feel like we're tired. We're tired of not seeing people who look like us. We're tired of not being able to say this could be me or that could be me on CoverGirl. That could be me on a magazine cover. So I think
that's
more
right.
than ever we're speaking up about it, and we're no longer silent about it, because now there are campaigns where there are different shades of people. Fenty has all these shades of foundation from of darker
But
complexion
do you
all the way
feel
to
like
the
they're doing
lightest.
that to shut us up?
I don't know if it, and honestly, I don't know if it's about shutting someone up. I think it's about,
It's time.
Yeah.
It's
And I
time.
think
Like,
If
enough is enough.
yeah, and closed mouths don't get fed. And I think when we spoke up and when we said this is unacceptable, I can't find my shade, I don't see myself on these covers, then
You know we're the biggest
people-
consumer of anything.
Yes.
African American women.
Yes.
But doesn't those come from voting?
What's that?
I mean, like the
No, that comes from
sexiest
money.
man alive, Michael B. Jordan. So the sex.
I
You know
second
what I'm
that.
saying? So does they automatically be like, oh, we're gonna choose him, or is that a process that they go through to get
I
that
don't know
person
how they
there?
get there.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna say voting, but a nomination, like, oh, we nominate, you know.
Yeah, and I'm sure, but even when, like you
Because
said,
just like the voting for the president, we haven't been stepping up until, you know, when
It
it's
took
till
for a
it's
black
till
man
now.
to run, and
Yeah, it
then
took
now
for a
everybody
black man
wants
to
to
run
vote
for
now.
everybody to step up. Actually,
Yeah.
it took for a black man to run for black people to start understanding the voting policy. Because of course I ain't know nothing about it. I still can't vote, but I ain't know nothing about the voting process
That is true.
until he came in the power. And then even with Trump, I was getting more political because I want him out of the office. You know, so in a way, like I'm saying, like I don't think that well, maybe they're not even including us, but I feel like it's stuff that we're not doing. Like you said, it's stuff that we're not doing too, also, or did also to help improve the stuff. We're stepping up now, but in the beginning, you know, we wasn't really like, it wasn't enough of us. So it took for, you know, Black Lives Matter. It took for Me Too. It took for moments for that for we to really, really, really start stepping up.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this. Have you had an experience where you had a friend, like a girlfriend, who was light-skinned, who you felt like got all the favor in the situation? You ever feel like that or have that?
Yeah, because it seemed like majority of my life, you know, there was always a salt and pepper. I always had a salt to my pepper. So I always had a best friend or a close friend who was light skinned. So we kind of complimented each other. But at the end of the day, she was recognized. You know, all the boys were after her. You know, and then, you know, then there would be a boy sprinkled in every once in a while. But for the most part, my light skinned friend was the one who got all the attention.
Did that hurt?
It did. It did, you know, and then, you know, unfortunately, you know, I didn't grow up with the best self-esteem, you know, until I just really had to love myself and realize who I was within myself, you know, but...
What advice would you give one of the younger girls or darker skinned young girl? Because I saw this experiment where this young girl, she might have been 6, where the teacher told her to pick the girl who is the smart girl. And she picked the light skin or the white baby. And then she said, pick who is the dirty girl or whatever. And she picked the dark skinned baby. Did you guys see that experiment? You see that? Y'all saw that?
Okay.
I'm going to insert it into the video. I'm going to show it in this video.
They actually did that experiment on a wider scale with young little African American boys and girls, and they said something like who's a criminal and who's ugly and who's pretty and who's gonna be a doctor.
And it was always the dark skin.
Yep. And then they said, and who do you wish that you looked like? And they grabbed the light skinned doll. And he said, well,
The white doll, actually.
yeah. And then they said, well, which doll looks like you? Like, after asking them all these questions about the criminals and who will never be successful, like all these harsh questions. And then he said, well, which one looks like you? And then they chose a doll that they were saying all the bad things about. So,
You know, and I think sometimes it stems, you know, like my mom's dark skinned. So if I feel like if my mom grew up...
Hold on. So, hey guys, if you've ever experienced colorism and you are in need or want to give some information to someone who has experienced colorism, leave it in the comments section. We want to hear about it and we celebrate you. And to all my light-skinned sisters, there's no shade on you or anything like that. We love you as well. We're just trying to get, you know, some love for us. Anyway, guys, take care. See you next time. Bye.